Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Comix Rant Mini. And I'm your host, Arvin Bautista, and in this channel, really, I just nerd out about comics and try to share my love, and hopefully it infects everybody else that watches it and sees it and makes people want to buy comics, read them. I'm usually doing more spotlights on Western comics, American comics, not even a lot of bande dessinée or manga, but comics are comics. So if you like it, go buy it. And on that note, tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day. Today is the 3rd of May. I had to look at my watch because I don't even know the date anymore. Today is the 3rd of May, and tomorrow, May 4th, is Free Comic Book Day 2024. So go out to your local comic book stores and support. Mine, Mission Comics and Art, the one that I like to go to in San Francisco, has the kid comics all free for the kids. And I think they can get as many as they would like. For adults, I think you're allowed 2. And then I think with every purchase, you might be allowed to get some more because it's the kids that we're really trying to target here. And these comic books, the free comic books that are offered there, comic book stores actually have to pay for them. So they're giving it to you for free, but try to support the store and buy something else that is not part of Free Comic Book Day. There's a lot. So I'm hoping my channel helps you find other titles that you might want to pick up when you're there, but support your store. It's Free Comic Book Day. It's the best invention since sliced bread. And I just found out that the comic book store that invented it, basically that popularized it, that started it in Concord, California, is shutting down, which is sad. Not even Free Comic Book Day could save it. So anyway, go out there, support your local stores, and let's get on with the show. Today, I'm going to talk about Batman, Death in the Family. This is the facsimile version of number 428. And I remember as a kid, this was a big deal. I'm sure a ton of other channels have talked about it already. And it's about Robin dying, basically, was one of the things, at the hands of the Joker. But they allowed people to call this 1-800 number to decide whether Robin would live and die. And writer-artists made it so that there are 2 versions of this book ready to go, depending on how those polls went out. Anyway, this is the facsimile version of Robin living. So I don't actually buy a lot of these facsimile editions because, I don't know, there are a lot of other comics I want to buy, and I feel like an old person trying to relive nostalgia buying those old books through my money. And to be honest, I am always trying to relive my nostalgia, but I already have these books, so I feel like I don't really need to buy them again. I've bought 2. This is one of them, and mostly because I have never read this version. So that's a big deal to me. And the other one is this Neil Adams book with Ra's al Ghul. I'll probably try to feature it here on one of these days, but it's like this oversized edition. I've never read it before. So that's a big deal to me too. It's always something I like giant size books, and facsimile editions, to be honest, are pretty cool. So if you are into that nostalgia thing to buy it, they're actually done pretty well. So I'm not judging you. It's just me personally. I just want to support these other books that are out, that are modern. They are very tempting though, I gotta admit. Batman Year One, like the actual issue, is tempting to get, but I don't need it. I've read it. I have the compilation. Anyway, so here we go. So Batman, Death in the Family, Robin Lives. It's a big deal. It's the same cover as Mike Mignola. That Mike Mignola did, but he looks like he's dead. And what's cool about these facsimile editions is they reprint all the ads that I grew up with. So definitely an awesome blast of nostalgia. If you are into these facsimile editions, they have like X-Men stuff. They have all sorts of stuff. ROM, I think, or I could be wrong. But a lot of these things that were printed from back in the day, and they have these ads. But it's not so much. So this episode, like all the games that used to come out. This was a terrible game, by the way. But it's just kind of cool to see these ads, 1-900-909. You know, I'm going to flip through it real quick, but, and some of the house ads that show up are great because I definitely get a blast from the past. I was there. I was so excited about Invasion. Todd McFarlane drew the first 80-page book, or was it 64? It was huge. And that was a big deal. Todd McFarlane in DC Universe again, because that is where he started with Infinity Inc. But it was when he was big. Like, he was already doing Spider-Man and he draws Invasion. So this ad definitely like strikes a serious chord. I'm going to go through the ads first because it's just such a trip. Like, all these old ads. And, you know, I was reading this in Hong Kong, so some of these ads did not make any sense. I don't know if any of these actually worked, but I'm sure it did. House ads for Sandman, right? Like, that kind of stuff is cool. Superman's here in this issue. The Mr. Miracle run from J.M. DeMattei and Ian Gibson. Like, it totally brings me back. Biker Mice from Mars. It's great stuff. And games coming out then. Letters pages. I think these are all still the actual letters pages on those issues. And then Dungeons and Dragons. How about that? Okay. So anyway, one of the things, you know, other reviews will tell you about the story and how it goes, and please pick it up. It's cool. Robin lives. It's kind of awesome. If you read this storyline from before, it'll mean something for you guys. But the cool part, as I was reading it again, this is written by Jim Starlin, drawn by Jim Aparo, inked by Mike DeCarlo. Mike DeCarlo is a pretty cool inker. I liked his stuff in Booster Gold. Jim Aparo's just old school classic guy. When I was reading it back in the 90s, you know, the Image guys were blowing up. So Jim Aparo's stuff just looked kind of normal to me. You know, I'm looking for like aggressive lines and action and hot chicks and all crazy compositions, which is awesome, by the way. I'm not bagging on it. But I think at that age, I did not really truly appreciate Aparo's artwork until, well, not recently, but this is the Batman that's actually stuck in my head. So anytime I draw him, it kind of becomes this Jim Aparo thing. You know, I'm trying to be all cool and Frank Miller-y, but it becomes Jim Aparo. He was definitely a part of my childhood a lot. And, you know, the more I look at this stuff, I mean, Mike DeCarlo actually did a good job inking this issue. It was a big deal. But, you know, this kind of like shadow under Batman's face to kind of frame his eyes is what's in my head. It's really cool. And then the way the cape swooshes, totally also the kind of cape that is also in my head. It just exists as Batman is a Jim Aparo drawing in my head. Anyway, so all the stuff is great, right? All the stuff is awesome. It sets up the story. But what I really noticed, especially in the silent moments, there's a lot of text going on here, and it's okay. It's awesome. Jim Starlin's writing is great. Very edgy, by the way. They were trying to take down a kiddie porn ring. So yeah, it's some real stuff. When I was in college, I didn't realize there was this way to compose your pages, comic book pages. There was this thought process where it would graphically draw your eye from panel to panel. And I never knew that until college. Credit goes again to my friend Shanthan Jetty and his time with Gaijin Studios. So Gaijin Studios at that time was with Brian Stelfreeze, Adam Hughes, Cully Hamner, Jason Pearson, all those guys. And they had that line of thinking too. I actually have one of the books where it talks about these textbooks about composing panels, like panel design, using the images to kind of lead you into the other. And you can see like even the colorists kind of knew it. I didn't realize it's been around for so long. I guess I should, right? Alex Toth and all the graphic design that goes into leading your eye across the page. And the colorist was in on it too, like I was saying. So there's like a line going like this, leads your eye to Batman, and there's this line that comes down like this, leading you back into this angle, pointing you to this panel. And now even the smoke does it, but just in nature of repetition, your eye is going to follow this, right? But yes, even these lines are kind of pushing you there. And his face is actually a little slanted down. Okay. It's a stretch, right? It's a little slanted down, but you go to this panel and then you see this log again that pushes you up here to the words, by the way, pushes you up to the words and then down to where Batman is. And then there's this angle that pushes you back into this lady and text bubble. And then there's also this angle. This angle is just always working. So now this angle pushes you back up and out. It works definitely when there's like two of these pages next to each other. But you can see it. It's still happening, even though it's not in those moments. It's not like a flashback, but it's still going. Like, you know, Batman's still here. The push is forward. And there's this panel split he uses with the rock and the smoke. And even this angle, Alfred is tilted this way. The plane is tilted this way. These guys are in this angle. So you're doing this. And then the words are leading you to there too. And then coming down, there's even drapery. It's a tiny bit of drapery because all the words are doing it. But you know, her arm, drapery, everything is pushing you into this. And then guess what? You hit these rocks, you know, you see the Jeep, hit these rocks and you're back down. You know, that's so freaking awesome. So freaking awesome to me to see Jim Aparo just do it. I think when I look back in his other issues that I have, I think he does it all the time. It's just, yeah, that's how you make comics. That's how it was. It was just astounding to me back in college to figure that out, to find out, oh, wait, there's a way to lead the eye just with the composition. So same thing here, right? It's all doing it. I'll pick a few more pages. I mean, it's all throughout the book, so it's hard to miss. So, you know, you got Batman here. You got this angle is still going, right? Like the angle is purposely, Batman's angle is purposely, okay, if this way leads you in, but then, you know, his eye line, right? It's all pointing back up. Even the smoke is pointing back up. Words are helping you. Here comes Batman holding the lady. And then there's this angle. Look at this angle. Like this wooden plank to this, log. And then, hey, guess what? This is not by mistake. There's a line that goes this way, as if, you know, Batman's already there. He's like a giant line that leads you down to the body. But that's also there. And the colorist is like, hey, I see this. And he colors it in there. And I don't know if Aparo was the one that called it out in the, the color call-outs, but it's there. And it's work, you know, I don't think I ever formally had a definition for what was going on, but I always found Aparo's artwork easy to read. It was so easy to read. And maybe at that age, I'm like early teens in the 90s. I'm looking for just action, kinetic, you know, like look through the details, like that kind of thing. But Aparo has serious storytelling chops. And, you know, I've looked at all his old stuff too, and I love it. His early stuff was like pretty freaking awesome. By the time he's drawing Batman, he's pretty old. He was on this book forever. This was back in the day when artists would pretty much kind of sit on a book, right? You had Kurt Swan on Superman, Aparo on Batman. And okay, so this line comes down. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this while I'm ranting. Line comes down, pushes you down this way, and here comes Batman. Hey, he's even pointing this way, and then he's walking out. You know, and all these lines are connected, and they're pushing you for the read. And if you want official licensed medallions, cut this out. And it's all there. You could grab a copy of the original version of this and see the differences, but I'm pretty sure everybody on the internet has already also talked about that, but I'm not sure if anybody's talked about this stuff that Aparo is doing in composition. And this is just more mind-blowing to me. It's like, yeah, comics. So here comes Batman looking at Robin. You also have this, and his arm is still pointing that way. You're coming down this way. I mean, it's some crazy, awesome stuff going on. Rhythms, this line is straight. Here's a cool one. This line is straight. Yes, Batman's pointing, telegraphing his move. Gonna grab Robin's arm, right? And what's cool, and I'm sure this just worked out, is this motion works with how you read Western comics, right? Left to right. So now there's that motion of your eye going left to right, but it's also him pulling the arm up and pointing you towards this panel. It's just cool because there's a graphic design to it, but also movement. I always love these little squigglies that denote movement. We don't do that so much anymore in comics anymore. We, as if I'm in comics industry. I mean, you don't see it in comics as much. It's more like a manga, style of movement nowadays, usually, which is fine. And so you see now Batman's reaction to push you through these panels, and now you're back here. And guess what? Hey, go over there, go out and go to the next page. Great stuff. Still going on. It's still going on, It's so great. All the composition, just always pushing your eye around. Look at this bad boy. Pushing you all around the page. Composition. Just great stuff. And Ayatollah Khomeini. Hey! I'm surprised Starlin didn't get any kind of crazy death threats like Salman Rushdie did. But he's the bad guy. Or one of the... Well, okay. Not really. He's the bad guy. But he hires the Joker to be an ambassador for Iran. Yeah. Anyway, that's all part of the story. You can look that up online. You can go buy this. You can buy the Death in the Family trade if you want to catch up on what's going on there and why Batman is mad at Superman. Because he's always mad at Superman. This is like Frank Miller influence, right? Tense. Batman punches Superman. But Superman rolls with the punch so he doesn't break Batman's hand. What a nice guy. What a nice guy. And then this is where you find out Joker is an ambassador, as I spoiled it for you guys earlier. In any case, that's it for today's Comics Rant. Special Comics Rant, just to promote Free Comic Book Day. This is probably not going to be free there, but it's not bad. $5 for like a piece of history that was never published. It's kind of awesome. Go to your comic book store tomorrow. I am unfortunately not going to be able to do it, but don't worry, I will support my comic book store after that. No problem. Have a happy Free Comic Book Day, and this is it for Comics Rant Mini. I'm Arvin Bautista, signing off.